In a recent Star Wars comic run, we got something truly special. For the first time in canon continuity, and from my recollection the first time in all of the lore, Vader and Sidious had a sparring session. The sparring session takes place mere weeks after the events of Revenge of the Sith. But the comic book opens up with something else, a sparring session with Anakin's former master and Obi-Wan Kenobi, and the contrast between the teachings of Kenobi and Sidious are truly striking, as well as their views on lightsabers and lightsaber combat in general. So, welcome again, Acolytes of the Force, back to the archives, and today we'll be breaking down the sparring session between Vader and Sidious. Before we open up today's holocron, however, we have sensed a great disturbance in the Force. Many Acolytes who have visited our archives have not yet subscribed to our order, so if you've been enjoying the daily lore holocron openings, reach out and crush that subscribe button. The comic book title is known as The Lesson. We open with a young Anakin and Obi-Wan Kenobi far before the events of Revenge of the Sith sparring in front of the sacred tree in the Jedi Temple courtyard. A young inquisitive Anakin asks his master about the lightsaber and why all lightsabers seem to share the same basic functions. He tells his master that the limits of the Kyber crystal are near endless and that it is simply an energy source, inquiring as to why the Jedi do not use the Kyber crystals to create other weapons such as spears, or even use the energy of a Kyber crystal and its connection to the Force to create blasters. Obi-Wan asks if Anakin is simply trying to set himself apart from the other Padawans, but Anakin states that the revolutions would not be for him, but rather it would be for the betterment of the entire Jedi Order, to make them more powerful. It is here where Obi-Wan uses the Force and rips his Padawan's lightsaber from his palm, pausing the duel to say this: "When I was a Padawan, I came up with the idea of two short-bladed sabers, each attached to a thin chain." Anakin says that that would have been amazing, to which Kenobi responds, "I agree, it would have looked very impressive, assuming I didn't chop my own foot off trying to use it. I suggested it to Master Qui-Gon, and he told me what I'm about to tell you now." Kenobi pauses. "It is about how we wish to be seen, Anakin, and how that ties into the central mission of the Jedi Order. We do not want to be powerful, we wish to stand tall against the dark." Obi-Wan ignites Anakin's saber with the Force, levitating it in front of him. Our tools reflect that goal, especially our chosen weapon. We all wield the same one with minor variations, the lightsaber. We could make Kyber bombs, or blasters indeed. It's been tried. There are a few weapons like that in the sealed archives, but anyone can fire a blaster. Very few can safely wield and skillfully wield a lightsaber. Everyone in the galaxy knows this to be true. We want our opponents to know that we use this weapon that requires intention, training, precision, and choice. The lightsaber symbolizes the care which we approach our gift through the Force, and the care with which we wield them. It reminds others that while we could do more, we very purposefully do not. We choose a weapon with limitations, with difficulties. You cannot use a lightsaber to destroy a city or a planet. Every death or injury it inflicts must be precisely chosen. The lightsaber tells the galaxy that the Jedi are not destroyers. We are protectors. But then the young Skywalker asks a very important question to his master. Why did the Sith use the lightsabers as well? To which Obi-Wan responds that the Sith believe that anything that the Jedi do, that they can do better, that they can perfect, and that of course, the Sith are wrong. We then flash forward in time, through much pain, through much conflict, grief, suffering, and the death of Anakin. The dilapidated, red sky of the Works district of Coruscant illuminates the backlight between Vader and Sidious. Anakin Skywalker is dead, or at least that is what Vader believes, but his master has a lesson that he intends to break Vader with the very weapon that he covets so deeply, the lightsaber. Sidious ignites his own blade, telling Vader to fight me. The two engage as the fury of two Dark Lords spreads across the open wasteland. Shockingly, Sidious meets Vader head on, matching his cybernetic strength. Vader swipes at his master, but Sidious is too quick, dodging it effortlessly. And then, something spectacular happens. Sidious, with the flick of his wrist, disarms Darth Vader, force-pushing the learner backwards as his cybernetics scrape and crackle along the walkway. In disgust, Sidious looks at his failed apprentice and says, "You fight like a Jedi. You fight as if this were your only weapon, but it is not. The Sith's weapon is not the lightsaber, it is the dark side of the Force, and the dark side touches everything. Sidious throws debris at his apprentice, teaching him a lesson of the Force itself, and the insignificance of a lightsaber compared to its massive power, emphasizing the same thing that Sidious has believed all along. The lightsaber is a weapon to embarrass the Jedi. Anything they can do, Sidious can do better, achieve more. Sidious tells Vader that the lightsaber is merely a symbol, the flame signifying the great blaze of the dark side, the inferno that consumes all who come against it. All as he drops Vader's lightsaber to the ground. Vader then slowly responds, "I understand, my master." But now, acolytes, let's analyze these two duels. To the Sith and to Sidious, the lightsaber is merely a representation of his ultimate power in the dark side. To the Jedi, though, it represents protectors and a great respect for the world around them. Sidious calls attention to the red coloration, calling it an inferno, a blaze of the dark side. Just as the Jedi use their lightsabers to represent peace, the Sith use it to represent dominance. But while Kenobi puts great emphasis on what a lightsaber should truly mean to the innocence of the galaxy and to a Jedi, Sidious scoffs at this. It is merely a symbol, a trinket, and nothing more. The Sith's real power lies in the Force. But what about the circumstances surrounding the sparring session between Sidious and Vader? And why does Vader seem shockingly weak here? One of the greatest lightsaber duelists in all of the lore should surely put up a better fight against his master than this. If you look closely, the lightsaber that Vader is wielding here is not the lightsaber that he will later construct. It is the lightsaber of the fallen Jedi, Karakin Fala, the first Jedi that Darth Vader faced after being crippled and forced into his cybernetic armor. This Vader is very unfamiliar with his armor. He's putting too much stock in old Jedi fighting style, in old Jedi beliefs. He's focusing entirely on the blade, not using the true power of the dark side. He's using the sequences gifted to him by the Jedi and taught to him by his master in Kenobi, and not realizing his true, newfound gift in the fury and flame of the dark side itself. This is an extremely young Vader, an extremely inexperienced Vader, and this one sparring session with his master is all that the Dark Lord required, as the Dark Lord would construct a brand new hilt, meant to deal death, as the Dark Lord adapted and learned, becoming one of the greatest Jedi butchers of all time, using what he learned during his decades training with the Jedi and turning it against them, knowing them inside and out. And now, Lord Vader, Butcher of the Jedi Order, was born, and his skill with the blade unrivaled. But anyway, my friends, what are your thoughts on this comic issue and this sparring session between Sidious and Vader, and how it contrasts the one with Kenobi and a young Skywalker? As always, my friends, thank you so much for visiting our archives, and may the Force be with you.